And we will go ahead and get started. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Kitiana Lowe. I am the contractor with ORV, handling all of our programs and events. Please pardon my voice. It doesn't sound all that great, but that's all right. We're going to keep trucking. We are here today and excited to have Allison. Is it Maslin? Is that how you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry. Allison Maslin, who's the CEO of Pinnacle Global Network, joining us today for this wonderful workshop. So I'm going to read through her bio just so that for those of you who may not be familiar with her, you can get a little bit more familiar. And then we're going to spend maybe about the next hour and a half together, and we're going to learn how you can scale your business for 2024. There'll be some time to ask some questions in the end. But I think this is going to be a really great and dynamic workshop that I'm excited to hear about. So let me add this one additional person here, and then I will read your bio. So Allison, as I said, is the CEO of Pinnacle Global Network. She was recently named one of 10 women entrepreneurs to watch in 2023 by Forbes magazine. She is the Wall Street Journal bestselling author of Scale or Fail, which is endorsed by Diamond John and Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank. Allison has built 10 successful companies over the last 40 years. For the past 14 years, she and her team of CEO business mentors have helped over 150,000 founders and leadership teams scale their companies, fast track their success, and create a more meaningful life through her company, Pinnacle Global Network, one of Incorporated's 5,000 fastest growing private companies 2 years in a row. Kudos for that, definitely. Allison has shared the stage with noted business leaders such as Richard Branson and Magic Johnson, and has been featured in Inc. Success, Fortune, Fast Company, and Forbes magazines. And she's a regular contributor to Entrepreneur Magazine and a featured expert on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and Fox across the United States. She is also the host and producer of the Scale Fit Method podcast and the Woman Who Owned It podcast on behalf of WeBank. Allison, we are excited to have you here with us. We thank you and appreciate you for taking this time with us, and the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here and get to know you all. We've got an intimate group here, so this will be nice. We'll make it very interactive. And I really want you to scale your business in 2024. That's what this is all about. I've been running companies for over 40 years, and I know how hard it can be to grow and scale a business. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. You all are more advanced in your businesses, and there's a lot of support out there for the startup business owner. But once you've been in business for a good period of time and you've advanced in your revenue, I always say new level, new devil. There are all new heights that you haven't been before, but you're kind of like the forgotten entrepreneur. You're sort of floating out there trying to figure these things out on your own. And, who do you turn to, really? But there's so much incredible opportunity out there. And so what I would love today, my intention for you is that by the end of this presentation, that you look at your business in a new way, that you look at the potential for opportunities in a new way. And so that we move into 2024 with excitement for what you can create. And it doesn't matter if you've been in business 5, 10, 20, even 30 years. There's so much incredible opportunity in the time that we're living right now. One great idea can create over $1 billion in revenue. So let me go ahead and share my slides. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'm probably going to answer most of the questions towards the end, so I can just keep the flow going. But if something is relevant to what I'm asking, I might be able to do that. So let me go ahead and share. Okay. You seeing my slide?
Yes, we are.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So we're going to talk about building your plan for 2024. But in what I want you to focus on and what we're going to cover today is not only, what are our goals for 2024? What do we want to achieve? But how do we build it in a way that you have a team managed company? And so when you go after new initiatives, this is not about you taking them on, that you're building a team empowered enterprise that can take your company and run with it. And also, what are the added revenue opportunities? What are the scalable models that you can incorporate to multiply your revenue, your profits, and the number of people that you impact? Because that's really what scaling is all about. And so think about it. What if 2024 was the year you stepped out of your comfort zone? What if 2024 was not just improving on what you've been doing, but actually multiplying the growth of your business? So that would take getting out of your comfort zone. And we'll talk about, how do you do that, but do it strategically. So how is it that a company like Orange Theory that started with one location generating under $50,000 in revenue per year was able to multiply to over 2,000 locations and generating over $1 billion a year? Or how was a company like Drybar, for instance, able to go from doing blow dries as a mobile studio for $25 a pop to generating hundreds of millions of revenue and selling the company for the same? Well, the answer is that they expanded to a scalable model. And what scaling really means is replication and multiplication. A lot of times people equate scaling with just fast growth, which it definitely can be. But if it's really fast growth without, sustainable practices, the whole thing can topple over. But if you think of your product and or your service, it's shifting your product or service into a replicatable model so that it can multiply well beyond you, right? And that's where, that big growth happens. Because if you are still the one that is delivering your product or service, even if you have a good sized team, it's just not scalable. It's not mathematically possible. And so we're going to talk all about this. I'm going to share the 15 most widely used scalable models that the most successful brands use. Now, the reason that I am so passionate about sharing this information is that even from my own experience as well, there are millions and millions of business owners out there that are working night and day in their business. And, you may have gotten out of the gate and done pretty well and had a pretty decent trajectory. But in most cases, businesses will hit a wall at some point. And the tendency is, and especially as we start a new year, is to say, I'm just going to focus more, work harder. But the truth is that there are no more hours in the day. For many of you, you're already working crazy hours. And, you might get a dent in that wall, but with that type of mindset, you're not going to get the big leaps that you want. But this is what most business owners do. It ends up affecting their health, affecting their relationships, and so on and so on. And you've also got amazing businesses with so much potential. But what I have learned in my over 40 years of business is that the scaling does not come from the hustle. It does not come from working harder. It comes from working smarter and being very strategic, using creative strategy to get to where you want to go. And so everything that I'm going to be sharing with you today is from our proprietary method. It's called the Scale It Method. And the Scale It Method is the only method specifically focused on scaling business, but as it pertains to all facets of the business. So it is covering all of these 5 pillars of the business. And so most companies, you might have a few of these pillars pretty strong, but if we were to dive in, we might find some that are either missing altogether or a little wonky. And so to truly scale, if you think of this idea of a pillar, you know, a pillar is something that has to hold things that are heavy. And so if any of these are wonky, then, you know, adding some stress to the business can knock the whole thing down. So you want to make sure that each of these pillars are strong. So we're going to go through these. We're going to talk about these. And I'm also going to share with you, you know, a special gift that we have to help you all like really take this to the next level. Now, strategic vision is probably the most important out of all 5 of the pillars, but it's the area that business owners spend the least amount of time on. And as we're getting into the beginning of the year, this is the time to build your vision and work with your team on it, and, you know, really think outside of the box. But it's not then something that you put away and check in on in June and see where you landed in December. You as the CEO want to ultimately be living in vision in your company. Absolutely. That is your role, is to be carrying that vision forward, because that's going to help you attract the people that you want on your team, attract all the kinds of opportunities that you want to have. Now I'm trying to find on my Zoom here is the chat. And for some reason, I'm not seeing it. I don't know why, but in case you all have questions. So what I may need to do is have, we'll wait on those. And then I think it's probably when I unshare the slides that I'm going to be able to take questions. Or
I'm also
Megan.
watching the chat, and there's nothing in the chat at this time.
Okay. All right. And so strategic vision is the most important. Then of course, cash flow. Obviously you need cash flow to run your business. And that's the oxygen of your business. It's driven by marketing, sales, and the organization of your finances. You want cash flow coming in every single day. Alliance of the team is really the focus on alliance, because if you have a team that's not aligned, they're in chaos. And you need the team to be aligned behind the vision. So we're going to talk about how to do that today. Leadership is all about you. It's how you show up in the good times and the stressful times, because everybody is going to bounce off of you. It's how you communicate. It's your mindset, you know, what's going on between your ears, and to be able to focus on where you're going. And execution is how everything rolls out. And ideally, you want it to roll out how your vision was, or even better. Having your KPIs, meeting your deadlines, and really having your team own those responsibilities. Now, speaking of a team managed company, that's what we have. My business is Pinnacle Global Network. And in the beginning, it was me mentoring other business owners, because people would be asking me over the years, Allison, how do you do it? Can you teach me? And then, you know, I realized that if I didn't create this as a scalable model, there would be only so many people that I could help. So we have over 35 mentors that have all built highly successful companies. They've had thousands of employees, done mergers and acquisitions. Some of them have taken their companies public. They are super smart. Many of them they're smarter than me. And the reason I share this with you is that this is an example of a scalable model, is replacing your talent with a team, where you take your signature process, whatever it is that you do so well, and you replicate that through a signature process and having a team take it and run with it, right? So if you think of the idea of Orange Theory that I shared earlier, that's exactly what they've done. Ellen Latham is the co-founder. She spoke at one of my events, and she, had this process, this Orange Theory. That's not what she used to call it, but they have now branded it. They've taken her genius and now replicated that all over the world. And so that's kind of this idea of the scale. Now, Damon John, who is from Shark Tank, some of you may recognize him. He is a big fan of the Scale It method and endorse Scale or Fail because he understands the importance having a system behind what you do. You have more mature businesses. And so the key of replication is going to be systemizing, and having a system behind what you do is really critical. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I want to share with you the 5 phases of scaling. And the reason that I'm sharing this and why it's so important is awareness is everything. Change starts with awareness, but most business owners have no idea where they are in the scaling process. So I want you to listen to these 5 phases and be thinking of, based on what I share with you, what phase do you feel that your business is in? And if you could put that in the chat, and then once I stop the slides, I'm able to look at that. But as I share a phase and you feel like that's you, go ahead and put that into the chat. All right. So phase 1, I call the seeker. And you all are beyond phase 1. This is the startup phase, but it's an exciting phase. I've been there many, many times. And, there's no scaling happening here. Lots of creativity, but, most things are dependent on you or you and a partner. So many business owners get stuck in these early phases because we're so used to doing it the way we've always done it from the beginning. And we try to carry those processes, those habits forward with us. But that actually ends up paralyzing a business, because what worked for you in the beginning, as you grow and scale, will actually choke the growth of your company. So you really want to be aware of that so you can think of the things that you are going to be letting go of as you grow. Now, moving on to phase 2, I call this the pioneer. And the reason I call phase 2 the pioneer is that you're starting to get into the thick of your business. You're getting your hands dirty. You're getting more clear on who your ideal avatar is, what your offering is, and you are building out your customer journey. And in the pioneer phase, you are starting to delegate. You're starting to build a small team. You may have a marketing person, maybe an assistant. Hopefully you're not doing your own bookkeeping at this point. And, things are moving in the right direction here, but so many business owners end up feeling that they have to approve everything that's going in and out of the business. And so you end up becoming the bottleneck here. Okay. And I'm going to just ask if you all can come on camera, would be amazing. Because when I'm giving a talk like this, I'm putting a lot of energy out. So it's great to get that back instead of looking at a black box. That would be super, super helpful. All right. So we become the bottleneck. And, I get it. It's one of the hardest things that you will ever do is to let go in your business. But if you don't, because you're afraid that someone will make a mistake. But if we are always jumping in and rescuing and being the hero, they're never going to think for themselves. It's like with our children. We hate for them to struggle. So we always, want to try to fix things, but that's actually ending up hurting their growth. So in phase 2, we need to begin to be more strategic of where we are taking the company on a bigger plane. What is that big vision? Because we tend to, in those earlier phases, that we are still jumping after certain tactics. So this looks good, I'll go after this. This looks good, I'll go after this. But how is that affecting the whole? Okay. And also in phase 2, you got to start thinking about, how can I systemize this? How can I automate this? And there's so much opportunity with AI now to save us so much time. So how do we move into phase 3? Well, if you have tapped into a demand, you're going to start growing, right? And you've got to start bringing more people on the team. And so even though we bring more people on the team and we grow, this is a good thing, but it also can become a circus. And that's why I call phase 3 the ringleader, because we can often feel like that ringleader. Any of you ever feel like the ringleader in your business and, trying to herd cats and all that good stuff? Now you might think, could I just skip phase 3 and move on to 4? And unfortunately, you can't. It's like saying I'm going to skip the teenager phase of growing up. We sort of have to go through that to work through a lot of kinks. There's a lot of good things happening in phase 3. You're getting more clear on your vision. You're having more regular meetings. You're starting to systemize things. But one of the biggest mistakes that happens in phase 3 as you are building your team further and further is that we often hire because we're out of bandwidth. We need to fill this position. But we do this prior to being super clear, crystal clear on what does success look like for the role. And so we hire someone and, we're not clear on what those expectations are. They're not clear on what those expectations are. And so we often miss the mark. So if this person was going to be extremely successful in the role, like what are those benchmarks? And so you've got to be super clear, not just on what the benchmark is, but what's the value you're going to put to that, so that everything that they are doing is assigned a value to, financially, how is that going to drive growth to the company? And this is how you are measuring if they are actually optimizing the role. And so when you don't do this, you often have this frustration happening because they may not be meeting the needs or reaching the goals of the position, or things are slipping through the cracks. And this is where you are pulled back in to the circus to fix things, and feeling like, I call it the octopus, where you've got your tentacles in every area of the business. Instead of, and Melanie is kind of nodding her head, she is relating to the octopus, instead of being that visionary CEO, and that's really where you want to be, right? And so this becomes this idea of the hamster wheel, because it is just this never-ending spinning in your business, and you often get people that are in the wrong roles. You're micromanaging, which is no fun for you. It's no fun for them. Your team wants to do well, but they just really aren't super clear on what the expectations are for them. And this is where people start getting, their health is challenged, they're exhausted, and you're needing to take a vacation. And even if you take a vacation, you are working on your vacation. And so this is this is so important for you all to hear this, because so many businesses get into phase 3 and never leave. And this is where the business dies. And it doesn't need to be this way. So when you start putting into the practices, I'm going to talk about, there is another side to this, so I'm going to share this in a minute, that you can actually move beyond this fairly quickly. And, we have businesses that come to us that are stuck in this phase for 10, 20 years. You could get it like to 3 million, let's say, and be at 3 million for 10 years, And so we just want to shift on this, because the business is actually going to grow so much faster when you move beyond this. And, I'll just say it becomes second nature. We don't even realize we're doing it because we're so used to just, waking up, we got our list, you got your coffee, and you just go at it. You're just, yeah, I can fix it. I got it. I can do it. I can handle it, but that's not really the best use of your time. And it's definitely not going to help you scale your business. Can any of you, and I can't see the chat right now, but raise your hand if you can relate to anything that I'm sharing here. Anybody? Yeah. Okay. So, and it can be exhausting. It can be, and you just sort of press through, but it definitely takes a toll. This is exactly where Kristen Donovan was when I met her. She came to an event of mine several years ago, and she, somebody brought her to the event. She didn't really know what it was about. And she was sitting there, and we were taking her through the Scale Up method and helping her kind of build out her plan. She was about 3 million in revenue when she came to our event. She has a consulting business that does government consulting in Orange County, California. And she, Kristen was the kind of woman who never took a vacation. She didn't really have time for anything else. She just figured that the only way to grow and scale a business was to work harder. And she told me that she was such a driver of her team that they didn't really like her very much, but she wanted to scale. She just didn't know the steps. So as she was sitting there and things began to unfold, and she realized, oh my gosh, there's a whole other way to scale a business. I had no idea. And so it ended up being absolutely life-changing for Kristen. She had not taken a vacation in 10 years. And so probably about 6 months after the event that I met Kristen at, I got a text from her, and she was on a safari in Africa. There was this big giraffe behind her. I should have showed it here because I actually have a screenshot with her with this giraffe behind her. And she was so excited because not only was she away, but her team had it handled. And since then, this was some years back, her business has multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. They've taken on so many other revenue streams. It's not even the same company anymore. She has a significant other now. She bought another house. And so it's just, but she was stuck in that same place for years. And so I share this with you because it's actually it's a lot harder to operate probably the way you're operating now than what I'm going to share with you. So first of all, what got you here will not get you there. We have to be willing to let go of what we've always done to get us to where we want to go. And as we step into 2024 and you set your goals for 2024, which, we want you to have an amazing 2024, but I want you to be thinking about, especially in this next week to 2 weeks before the end of the year, what do I not want to take into 2024? Like, what are habits? What are processes in the company? Maybe there's people that's just not serving the big vision anymore. They may have gotten you here, but they're not going to get you there. And you've procrastinated on letting them go because it's the least fun part of business, right? But it's not serving them and it's not serving you. And so, when you bring these, or maybe it's just habits that you have, or maybe, you've just, maybe you had an executive assistant, but now that person is going on to doing other things in the company and you don't have that support. Like, what are some things that are not working for you? Or what are parts of the business that you're working in that you just don't like? Right? And so you've got to be willing to let go of those things, move on, make that change, because you want to be able to focus on the top 20% of drivers in your business, not the bottom 80%. So as much as you're going after things, it's just as important and almost more important that you're letting go of things that are not serving you or serving the business anymore. And usually that means you've got some difficult decisions to make. But I challenge you to make those decisions and stop sitting on them. And you know what I'm talking about. We all have them, right? We all have them. And usually once you do, it's the most freeing thing ever, but you just like agonize up to that point, right? So what got you here will not get you there. And moving from phase 3 to 4, one of the biggest things that has to happen is that you've got to shift from being a boss to being a leader. And so it's stopping, jumping, and rescuing and giving the answer. It's not about fixing things. It's not about telling people what to do. Nobody likes to be told what to do. I don't like to be told what to do. Ask my husband. I do not like to be told what to do. And I'm sure you don't either. That's why you got into business in the first place. Maybe one of those reasons. It's really about empowering people to figure it out themselves. That's the shift that has to happen. And so when people are coming to you for questions, instead of just giving them the answer, my advice would be to say things like, well, what do you think we should do? What do you suggest that we do? Or why don't you put a plan together and present it to the team? Or you own this part of the business. Because when we keep giving the answers, there's a part of their brain that shuts off. And so they're not thinking, they're just following. And that's why if you ever have those experiences that you feel like, I have told this person 100 times how to do this, and they're still not getting it. Does anyone relate to that? It's because you've told them 100 times. That's why. I had this realization. I was with my husband in the car, and he likes to take the back roads everywhere, and I was on my phone and I really was not paying attention. And he goes, you have no idea where we are, do you? And I'm thinking, no, I really don't know where we are, but you're driving. So why does it matter? I'm doing my thing over here. And I just had this realization is that's what our employees do. They figure you're driving. And so they don't have to remember those things. And it's not always intentional, but that's what happens. And we create a culture around this, right? And that's where you are always pulled back into the weeds. And so to move into phase 4, you really need to be that co-creator, which is what we call phase 4. And that's where you start to build a company based on collaboration. And I will just tell you that it's become so much more fun when you start to build a company based on collaboration, because you're going to start to see those shining stars within your business, and you want to empower them to own it or bring those people in. Where you are helping them to see that they own that part of the business. And the leaders have they have a lot of qualities, but 2 really important qualities. One, you never have to wonder what they're doing. You're not needing them to give you a list of all the things they're working on. Like, you just know they're doing what they need to do. And then number two, they can cast a vision. They can empower others. Just as you are empowering the team, your leaders should be empowering other people on the team. They're not just the doers, right? They are the empowerers. And then they start to ask, you get these leaders that start to ask these really incredible questions. Like, I'm looking at your names here on Zoom here, Ashley or Sherry. I was up all night and I was really trying to see how we could improve our customer journey. Or I've got this great idea for us to drive up profits. I mean, how would you all like that from your team? That would just take so much pressure off of you, ultimately. And that's the kind of culture that you want to create. And what happens is that as you start to build this team of leadership and empowering them, you can start to slowly step back, because your vision and your values are so entrenched in the company that it's like you're there, even if you're not there, right? And then you're able to really live in vision as your role. That's your role. And being out there and building powerful relationships and things like that, and be focused on the future. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, this sounds great, Allison. We're just not in a place to hire more people at the level that we would really like to. And I would just say that it might quite be the opposite. Because if you have a hole in your company, or if you have an area that you really want to grow, when you hire strategically and you fill that position, I call it hiring forward, you're actually going to drive the growth of that area of your company. And every single position should be bringing in 3 to 10 times what you pay their salary to your bottom line. And that's not just sales, that's operations, that's customer service, that's legal, that's, every single position. And so it's really, like I said earlier, and we have a process called Hire for Growth, but basically where you outline so if you're going to hire someone, like you want to hire a position and you're trying to determine, is this the right decision to make? Should we fill this position? First of all, before you do it, you want to map out what are the intentions of the position. Like, what is this person responsible for, and how would that drive revenue to the bottom line? So for instance, let's say you pay someone $100,000, just for math's sake. You want them bringing in 300 to $1 million in revenue. So how would they do this? If it's, let's say, somebody in customer service, they're taking such good care of your clients that your retention goes up by 15, 20%. Or maybe this is someone in accounting and they're amazing at holding your team to the budget, and they're going to save you all 300 to 500,000 a year. Or maybe it's an executive assistant that is saving you 10, 20 hours a week, and so that you're able to go out there and get those joint venture deals. The key is that you have to measure it. You have to measure it, and you need to stay on top of it. And you're looking at these numbers when you do your reviews. So then when you do this, you can often see that if you don't fill this position, you're actually losing a lot of money, right? Especially if you're the one jumping in to do it. Now, this is probably one of the most important slides that I'm going to share with you today, and that is your role is to focus on future, not today. That is what you hire your team for. And this is a big one. But as you are, put that on your refrigerator. Because your intention every day is to get into that visionary role, not into the weeds of the business. Now, it doesn't mean you're not connected to your team, and you love your business. It's not about you not being part of it. It's just that you're not serving your team or the growth of the company if you're in there in the weeds doing it. This is why you have your team. Now, we have at Pinnacle Global Network a team managed company. They don't need me. They're amazing. I love the team. I take off a week to 2 weeks every single month. I have already outlined my 2024 when I'm off. My husband and I own a home in Mexico. Now in Zihuatanejo, Mexico, we're leaving on Friday. We will be there through March. And, you know, when I started stepping away from the business grew faster because when my head was clear, I was able to come up with the best. I'm in the visionary role. So I'm able to come up with the best ideas to grow the business. When you're in the weeds, that's not where you're going to get those ideas because you're so in the box that you're not able to think of those big breakthroughs. That comes when your head is clear. So when I was away, and I give myself thinking time, I came up with this idea for the Scale It software and taking people through the phases and all of the different tools we have being, you know, coded into the software. And, you know, we are now launching that software January 9th. So it's very exciting. So these are things that will scale the company. And so it's, you know, this idea of stepping away actually gives your team that opportunity to step up, right? And so this is probably one of the most important things as you grow your business because it is a change and we are creatures of habit and we do what we do and we do what we know. But that's not going to get us to the next level. This is where Marshall Doyle was. He had his company for 20 years when I met him. He has a company called CalCert. They do machine calibration and in Oregon. And he had 35 employees when I met him. He was in the multiple seven figures. But he said to me, you know, he told me he had his hands in every aspect of the business. I said, Marshall, we're going to extricate you from the business. We're going to help you build that team managed company. And he started laughing. He's like, yeah, right. You know, but okay, let's see what you got here. And so this has been like 5 years ago now, but he has over 100 employees now. He works 90 minutes a week in that company. That's it. He attends one meeting. He has also purchased 23 other companies since then, and he does not run any of them. He has now become a master of putting that team together for other people to run. And he just reached out to me because he just got an offer for his company at a 24 multiple of, you know, for the sale of his company. I think he's going to take it. So he had not taken a vacation in 20 years. And now he travels around with his wife in their RV with his dogs. So his life is completely different than it was. But again, he was like this for 20 years. So this takes us to phase 5, and this is really where you want to be. And the reason this is so important is that by phase 5, you have a full team managed company, and then you have choices. You could pass it down to your children. You could sell it. You can step up to the chairman of the board. You could bring on a CEO, scale it further, add more revenue streams. You have choices because it's not dependent on you. And the valuation of your company is so much higher that way. You know, your business is going to end at some point, right? And so you might as well have it be valued as much as you possibly can because you have sacrificed, in most cases, decades in your business and building your business. It's an asset. It is an asset that can fund that next chapter of your life in whatever you decide to do. So just make it your goal to get to phase 5 in your business. And as you're thinking of 2024, I want you to be thinking of what are the gaps in like what we've shared right now? What are the gaps? And now I am seeing, this is so weird how this, wait a minute. I see the chat, but it's not letting me click on it. Hold on a second. There it is. Oh, I see the chat. Yay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. So let me know in the chat what phase you're in based on what I just shared. If you all could just put the number in there, that would be super helpful for me to see. Okay. We've got some threes. 3 with your toe into 4. Yeah. So I get it. You can definitely be in the middle of a phase. Yeah, man, that ringleader phase, it's a doozy for sure. So, so this is exciting because just some tweaks can make a huge difference. So really just be asking yourself, are you leading as the hero? Are you leading as the octopus in your business or as the visionary CEO? And obviously we want to move you to that visionary CEO. Now, why is this so important to me is, you know, I've lived it. I lived it. I started my first business when I was 19. And by the time I was 25, I had a full service advertising and PR firm. I had no idea what I was doing at all. But, you know, people would ask me, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do radio? Do you do TV? Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, I would race to the TV station and say, teach me what I need to know, or hang out at the printer at 3 a.m. Teach me what I need to know. And I'm sure like many of you, you kind of made it up along the way. And so the business grew quickly and we had big clients, big corporate clients like you see here, Ben & Jerry's, Supercut, Charlotte Russe. And we were making really good money. I was traveling all over the country and you would have thought at that point, oh, this young lady, she's got it together. But the thing is, I knew how to help market a business, but I didn't know how to scale a business. I had a small team, but I didn't really know how to be a leader. And so I thought I had to do everything. And so this is how I felt most of the time. I was exhausted. I was burned out. I was staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning creating ad campaigns. My daughter was under 2 at the time. I felt like I was just like, you know, on one of these crazy rides at the circus or at the fair, and spinning and spinning. And I got really depressed. And then I felt guilty because I was like, what's your problem? You have this business. But I was so afraid. I had a lot of people depending on me and I just didn't know what to do. I started having panic attacks on Sunday, thinking of Monday. I just thought I am absolutely going to collapse. Can anyone relate to this feeling? You've been there before, you know what I'm talking about. Mimi is shaking her head there. And so what ended up happening was I ended up having this pretty horrible car accident because I was exhausted, stressed out, not really present, you know, thinking about where I needed to go and what was happening next. And, you know, my life was just passing by. And, you know, I ended up having this terrible car accident. And so it was this massive wake up call for me because once I realized, okay, I'm going to make it, like I'm going to survive, I said, wow, I just can't live like this. Like this is, like if this is success, like, no, thank you. But I love business and I knew I didn't want to go work for somebody else. And I knew that there had to be another way because the companies that were my clients that had thousands of employees, you didn't see the business owners standing over everyone micromanaging. And so I became obsessed with understanding how they were making this happen. You know, what were the systems and processes they had in place? And so this began my building of what I call today the Scale It method. And I went on to build 9 more companies that did not depend on me. And that I've had an absolute blast with. And this is all different industries, all different business models. So everything I'm sharing with you applies across the board. Okay. And it is truly, truly life-changing. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, because when I see business owners that are stuck like in that phase 3, I know that massive changes can happen in a very short period of time when you apply these principles. Okay, so, and we have literally helped tens of thousands of business owners all over the world. We're going into our 15th year in January and helping business owners scale. So cash flow, like I said, is the oxygen of the business. And so I want to talk to you about, we've talked about team and building that team managed company. Now I want to talk to you about revenue and how to add these other revenue streams or scalable models to your business. So to do that, I want to just share a story with you. So Gila and John Kurtz run a company called Dog is Good. It is a lifestyle brand for people that love dogs. And they came to my event some years back. And I remember Gila because I bring people on stage and I do some coaching at these events. And she came up there and she was in tears. And she said, Allison, I'm really thinking of shutting down this business. I built it because I love this and I'm passionate, but I'm working on so many things in the company that I don't love anymore. I feel burned out. We're always tight on cash flow, even though we're in hundreds of stores. And I just feel like I'm kind of losing myself. And so I said, well, this isn't making sense to me. What's going on? You're in hundreds of stores. Why are you struggling in cash flow and so forth? So we dove further into the business, and what I uncovered was, okay, so they were manufacturing their products. And so, they're paying for the products. For those of you that are manufacturing, they're paying for the products to get developed. They're not getting paid until they have hit the retail stores and they're selling to be able to get that compensation for what they're providing. And so, and they were wholesale to retail, pretty traditional model. So their margins were pretty thin. So I said, okay, you need MRR, write that down, MRR, monthly recurring revenue. But the first thing we did was we said, okay, you have this amazing brand. People love you. They had a direct to consumer revenue stream, but it wasn't very strong. So we helped them to strengthen that direct to consumer because you're taking out the middle person. And so that helped to just initially infuse some cash flow in the business. Then I said, okay, so now that we've got this flow of direct to consumer, let's create a subscription program for Dog is Good on two ends, one direct to consumer, one subscription to the retailers. And why subscription is so powerful is it's a win-win for the customer, and it's a win-win for you as the business owner, because for the customer, you all have subscriptions and you just don't have to think about it. You know it's coming. You put it in, it's on autopilot in a sense. And for you, the business owner, this is revenue that you can count on a monthly basis, as long as you're really giving over value to the customer so that you can retain that customer. This alone can multiply your valuation of your business 10 to 30 times. Because if I'm coming into your business and I'm looking to buy it and I see that you have recurring revenue, that value just went up for me, right? And so MRR, monthly recurring revenue, is a great way to scale the business. Now, then we said, okay, you've got this great brand. What about licensing the brand? What if we sell the Dog is Good license to other, pet related products? Now, licensing is a great passive revenue. So they have sold now more than 150 licenses, including Skechers. They have a Dog is Good shoe. And then we said, okay, you've got this great fan base. Your customers love you. How do we turn your customer base into your sales force. And so we ended up helping them create something called the Dog is Good pop-up shops. And so they have these people that love Dog is Good that now have pop-up shops all over the country that are selling their products. Now, this is where Gila started really getting excited because she's helping these people to have their own business. Like, this became fun again. And now they've taken those pop-up shops and turned it into an entire direct sale model. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because in the world that we live in right now, you have got to be creative. You cannot do what everyone else is doing in your industry. That is a recipe for disruption, or a business just not being here any longer. It's important for you to be around other types of businesses and other types of industries so that you're thinking outside of the box. Because people generally in the retail space were not doing all these different things that Gila and John were doing. But if they stayed in their traditional model, I don't know if they would continue to be here at this point anymore. And so you don't need 5 scalable models. You only need 1. If you think of, Orange Theory that I shared earlier, they do master franchising, took them to over $1 billion valuation. So it really is thinking, what are new ways that we can generate revenue, but in a recurring model? Okay. And I'm reading your messages here too. I see that Karen. Mimi took her first 10-day vacation last year, no work. Oh, so awesome. Okay. So when you have a scalable model, what it does is it infuses cash into your business on a regular basis. And there are 15 scalable models. You can take a picture of this. There are 15 scalable models that the most successful brands use. And so I'm going to go through a few of these. Okay, so replicating your talent with a team. I talked about that earlier. This is me with some of my team. And so you don't want to hire people and they just go rogue. Like, you need what I call a signature process. Ours is the Scale It method. And I would imagine that you do have a signature process. It's something that you consistently do. But when you name it, and you can even license it, there's so much that you can do there. The value of that process that you're taking customers through will completely set you apart from your competition. Your current clients will spend 5 times more than a new customer. And the cost to keep a client is so much less than the cost of acquiring a client. And so there is probably a lot of money to be had from your current customers. They are buying things from other people that they could buy from you. So the way to kind of brainstorm on this one, and you can take it back to your team, is what do we need before, or what do our customers need before they work with us, while they work with us, and after they work with us, right? So we talked about subscriptions, memberships, LegalZoom. Really, it's a service business. So everything I'm sharing here applies to service and product. We have helped so many service businesses create subscription programs, even in the recruiting space, even in cold storage refrigeration. So all of these things can be applied to your business. You just have to get creative around it. That picture below is the founder of Hint Water. And they are a beverage company that they were the very first ones to ever do a subscription program in the beverage industry. Had never been done before. Even Coke or Pepsi had never done it. Everyone told her it couldn't be done. And now it's 40% of their revenue. They do hundreds of millions in revenue. They're all over they've grown. Now they're in airports and, all kinds of grocery stores and so forth. And they didn't even have enough money to get on the grocery store shelves in the early days before they launched this subscription program. Certification is a great way to scale your business because it's basically taking whatever your expertise is and training other people in it and certifying them in that. So it becomes a whole new revenue stream. It also can become a completely new market for you. And so you become the it factor in your industry. Like people are coming to you to get trained on how to do it. This is also a great way to get a pool of awesome team members for your company. Okay. Buying your competition, another way to scale. Just like Marshall did earlier, he's purchased all of these companies. And, you might think that it takes a lot of money to do this, but there are ways we help people buy companies all the time. There are some really creative ways of doing this where you have no money down to buy these businesses. Great way to scale. You have to know what you're doing though, because you want to make sure they have a good culture and all of that. But it is, you're leveraging someone's, years and years of building something. So it doesn't matter if you're online, offline, product, service, manufacturing, all of these models can scale. And so when you do, these three things happen. You get your life back. You help a lot more people. You really there's no limit in the number of people that you can impact. And then your profit starts to multiply. This is where you see those, those unicorns where things start to really grow. But you want to be strategic about it. You don't want to just, randomly do it. I mean, you really want to do your homework on it, and you want to have a real solid plan as you do this. But when you do, the change happens fast. So my question to you is, I want you to think about, as we step into the new year, which is like days away, how much revenue do you want to create in 2024? Like, if you were to really hit your goal, what would that be? You can just write that down. You can put it in the chat. Like, if you were really going for it, what would that number be for 2024? And own it, right? This is something to be proud of. So I want you to think about that number for 2024. Awesome. Okay. Now, what if you might think this is crazy when I put this idea out there, but what if your yearly goal became your monthly goal? What if your yearly goal, now Karen's got a big smile there. What if your yearly goal became your monthly goal? And I know you might be going, oh my God, that's not possible. But you all are already bringing in monthly what you did yearly in the early days, right? So it's just a number. It's just a number. And it's just, when we just open our mind to a new realm of possibility, it is amazing what can happen, because it really just starts with a decision. It just starts with a decision. And so when you scale, when you have that team managed company and you have those scalable models, everything changes. So my question to you is, how many of you, put in the chat for me so I can just see if we're on track, do you feel that if you applied these principles as far as the team managed company, and even one of those scalable models that I showed you, that would have a big impact in your business. Let me know that in the chat. Awesome. Awesome. So I will just say that you all have the power to create whatever you decide. I mean, again, one idea can be $1 billion company. And, I just met with this woman who is going to be speaking at our upcoming event. I'm going to share that with you in a minute. And she's had 9 companies. She's had $1 billion company, and she's invested in over 100 companies. And we were just talking about this new company, and they built a software, and they just got a round of 100 million in investment, and $1 billion valuation to their company. So like I just want you to just like own it. And, I think as women, I'll just say this for myself, maybe it's not for you. I feel that we've kind of been raised to just, to not be so bold, but I'm just going to say, own your greatness, because you all are superstars. What you've already accomplished is so rare in the business space, especially for women. And I feel like it's our role to be those leaders and to be those examples for others. And I will also say that it's so exciting, and it can really be fun to get super creative in our business to say, how am I going to show up in a new way? But you don't want to do it alone. It can be lonely at the top, and who do you go to? You can't really go to, your mom and say, I'm not sure about this revenue stream, or, to your employees to say, I'm stressed out, like, who do you go to for this? So it's really important that you get the support. Okay. And so Melanie, I totally get it. I'm going to open this up for questions, and we're going to have a little bit of time, and I would love to hear from you all. But I have a really cool gift that I'm very excited to share with you. And so let me explain it to you. And I'm really, WeBank has been super generous over the years, and we are such a big supporter of WeBank. I have been hosting their podcast for the last 4 years. We are the co-chair of the WeBank conference coming up in March. I hope I'm going to be able to see you all there. And so we have been giving back to WeBank for all the generosity that they have for us, and really partnered with them. And so that's why the ORV has brought us on here to share this with you all today. So I'm going to give you a really cool gift. So this is for business owners that are generating over 500K in revenue, which I believe you all are, and that's why you're here. And so we're going to give you a gifted ticket to our biggest event of the year called Scale It Live. And so let me tell you all about it. We do this event once a year, and we have hundreds and hundreds of CEOs traveling to Los Angeles for this event. It's our 14th year leading this event, and we have so many WBEs that are coming. We have people flying in from all over the world. We have many people that attend every single year because it's their planning event of the year. And we're going to take 3 days and build out your full plan, your full scale plan for 2024. Now, we've done some of that here just to kind of get the wheels turning. Obviously, there's only so much I can do in this amount of time. But let me just kind of break down for you what this is and how it works. And so it is February 1st through the 3rd in Los Angeles. And so my whole team will be there, over 35 really high level CEO mentors and some of the top business experts in the world, which I'm going to share with you. But the key really about this event is that it is a working event. So it's not a typical event where you go to a breakout or, you sit back and get inspired, which is great. But this is actually where we're going to build out your roadmap with all of the tools that we have. I'm very, very visual, so I like to see a step by step by step. And so we literally are going to put the pieces together of your business, and we're going to have you look at it in a completely new way to break through the ceiling of where you're taking your company. And so we build out your strategic vision, we build out your cash flow and your marketing plan and your hiring plan and your, how to replace yourself in your company, all of those things. And so you literally, by taking 3 days, and I know for some of you, the thought of taking 3 days feels like, I can't do it. It's, I can't get away. These 3 days will give you your life back. This will be a turning point in your entire life. So you're going to get a full strategic vision for the next 3 years. We're going to build out your marketing and sales blueprint so you literally can hand it over to your team. We're going to figure out which of those scalable models are right for your business. We're going to also build out your org chart for 2024 and your hiring plan, how to find those people, where to find those people, how to attract them, and then how to replace, what are the steps to replace yourself in your company. Like I said, we give you all the tools and everything to make it happen. You get private time with the team. It's a customized process. This is not cookie cutter, because every one of your business is different. Your goals are different. Your challenges are different. So your journey is going to be different. This is a high level event. So most of the people there are going to be 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure. So just the caliber of the people in the room, just a bunch of really smart people. We have people do business deals together. They form partnerships there. It really is incredible. Just some of the experts that we're going to have there. Kim Perrell, I'm not sure what happened on this slide here, but she's the one I told you about that built $1 billion company. She's invested in over 100 different companies as well. She's brilliant. Lisa Nichols. I don't know if any of you know who Lisa Nichols is. She was in that movie, The Secret, but she's absolutely mind-blowing when it comes to stepping into leadership. We have the founder of Zillow, Spencer Radkoff, and he is also so brilliant. He's going to be talking about culture and talking about team. And so it really is a transformational experience. And just to give you an example, we had this gentleman, David Chang, came to the event. He'd been running his martial arts company for 18 years. And he hit the 3 million mark, was stuck there for 10 years. And he just couldn't keep, he had a lot of younger people that were on the team. He just couldn't get this thing to scale. He opened a second location. He had to close the doors. He came to this event, and within 7 months, he doubled his revenue. In 1 year, he tripled his revenue. He has now opening his 4th location. He does not work in the day-to-day in the business anymore at all. He doesn't need to go into the locations except when he's doing the martial arts, which he loves. And now he spends his time with his kids. And so it really is, I'm excited for you all. So this truly, truly is a gift. If you would like to attend, tickets right now are up to $14.97 and $9.97, $14.97. But for you all, it is our gift. You would put a deposit down and we will refund you right after the event. And the reason we put a deposit is that we have limited space and we don't want to hold an empty seat. So we need to know for sure that you are coming. But it is, and we even have several of the RPOs around the country that are coming as well, and who have attended this event before and are coming back. So I hope that you all will join today. We have this offer for you all today to participate in this, and it truly is a life-changing event. And you will we aren't doing it virtually. And the reason, Karen, is that the magic is the connection. A big part of the magic is the connection, because we're going to take you through processes and so forth. And there's so much that happens in the room, like when you're at an evening session or going to dinner or sitting next to someone, is based on what we're taking you, this creative process that we're taking you through. Each session is building upon itself. So the end, you literally leave with a full plan for the entire year. So like day one, we're building out your vision, and then we start building your scalable model. And then we get into building the team and building that out, and then your leadership, and then your systems and processes. So each part of the event builds upon the next part. And I've never personally experienced any event like it. And we've literally taken tens of thousands of people through this process. And it truly is life-changing. So it's free for you all. Just the deposit, you will get that back. If you want to bring a guest or another business owner, you can do that for $297. And again, tickets are all the way up to $1497. So this really is our way of giving back. It literally costs us several $100s to even service every single guest at the event. And so we have the links there. Let me just tell you, it is at the Westin Bonaventure in Los Angeles. So once you register, you're going to get in your email, you'll get the link to book your room. The hotel is filling up really fast. We just got a room report, and we're almost at 80% capacity. So if you are going to join us, book your room really quickly. And I would say come on the 31st, because we'll do early check-in on the evening, like I think 4 to 7 the night before. So then you don't need to deal with that Thursday morning. Because we're going to start early Thursday morning on February 1st around, I think the doors open around 8. We're going to start around 8:20. And then, you'll get all the details. We'll send you all the details on that. So if you're booking your flight, you want to come in on the 31st, and then you can leave on Saturday evening if you want. We finish on Saturday around 4:00, maybe 3:30, around that time. So if you wanted to take an evening flight, you could, or stay till Sunday and give yourself a chance to download everything. Because basically we're going to put you in a creative bubble for 3 days. And, when you step away for an hour or 2 or things and you work on your business, it's great, but there's only so much that your brain will allow you to break through. But when you're in a creative bubble and we're just stretching you to think bigger, to think outside of the box, what happens is the evening of day 1 or in the middle of the night or in day 2, you're like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of it before that way. This is I've got it. And it's kind of like when you take a shower and you've solved all the world's problems in the shower. I don't know if you all ever feel like that. It's because no one's bugging you. And you really you guys are just bombarded constantly with stuff. You're just from one thing to the next. But to really catapult your business, you have to give yourself the gift of packing your suitcase, stepping away, so that you can have the bigger picture perspective of your life and your 3 a.m. and in the shower. What's it? So this is like a 3-day shower. basically, except you won't be getting wet. So I'm going to stop the share here, and we'll take a few minutes to answer questions. Megan, you want to put those links back in the chat? And let me see how I can get this. There we are. Let me put on the gallery view so I can go ahead and raise your hand, your virtual hand. First of all, thank you for being here with me today. And I'm hoping I'm going to see and get to work with some of you in Los Angeles. It's truly going to be a transformational experience. And so don't be shy if anybody has questions. Please, okay. Let's see, I saw your hand up, but then you disappeared. Where did it go? Was it Melanie? No? Any questions? You can ask any questions about anything that I shared today, anything specifically going on in your business, anything about the event. There's no silly questions, but take advantage of the time here with me. Come on, ladies. Any questions? There we go. Christy, go ahead.
Mute. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you. This is awesome. I'm in my 25th year in business and took over the business from my dad in 2007, grew the company to 100 million this past year. But obviously we're in the transition between 3 and 4. So it's very interesting to hear what you say because everyone's trying to kick me out of things. And I know I need to be, but I almost feel like, okay, where do I need to be working on? Like I'm a super networker, bring in a lot of people, agents, customers, just because of our brand and reputation. But just looking forward to learning more about like, how do I fully, I think going through this and like learning where I really need to focus. Cause sometimes I feel like I can't, I mean, I hate saying this, but it's like looking at that vision. Like I'm one of those people that I'm not sure like how much longer I want to do this or sell the company. I've done some acquisitions. The last one didn't go so well, but you know, it's kind of like trial and error. And I kind of want to just keep going. But yeah, I just feel like we're at that point too, at that 100 million where things have to change. You know, so yeah, it's just definitely interesting. It's resonating to hear what you're saying. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that. Well, congratulations for what you have done. First of all, take that in, but it becomes a very different company at that point, and you really have to operate in a new way. And, you know, it's interesting. I had the same thing where my team was trying to boost, you know, they were trying to oust me out of like, you're in the way. And, you know, we just kind of keep looking at things. Everything in life is a matter of perspective, right? So I could look at this cup and describe it a certain way, and you can look at this cup and describe it a certain way. And we just get very mired in the way that we see it. Whereas somebody else may see it with so many other, you know, with a completely new lens, with other creative ways to approach it. And so we really are in the way of our own growth. Right. Yeah. And so you may already have those people on the team that you can shift around as well. We have a program called Scale Team where we actually work with the team, and we've in doing assessments, we've actually moved people around the org chart into different positions. Because, you know, even with the team, we're so used to seeing them in a certain light, but we don't realize that there's so many other things that they could do that we're not even capitalizing on, you know? So there's a lot of different ways. As far as where for you to put your attention, this will be great coming to the event because it will really help you to think about one of the things I'm going to have you look at is what is your superpower? Like, where are you in your genius? And I don't mean just what are you good at? Because you're all good at a lot of things. That's being in your zone of excellence. We want you to be in your zone of genius. And when you're in your zone of genius, it's where people just go, Christy, you are so good at that, like, wow. And you're happy, like you love it. And time just goes by. And so that's where you ultimately want to be. And that's where you're going to add the most value to the company. But, if you're so amazing at building relationships, you should be doing that. But you also need a team that's doing that. It can't, you need a strong business development team. So it's not dependent on you. You want to look at it as if you were not here tomorrow, like what would need to be happening within the company where it would continue to grow and thrive without you.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mimi, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. This has been really interesting, and I've been through several different sort of professional management trainings and things like that. And I think I appreciate what you're saying, because the other ones I think I've been through have been strong, but they have been like, how do you grow your business, 5%, 10% revenue growth at a time? And I think we've done pretty well at that. And so my question is, I own a marketing communications consulting firm. And so if we are growing and we have seen that consistent growth with what we have been doing, but certainly not to the level that you're talking about, is it that we need to think about how we're earning revenue differently? Is it that we have to look for new revenue streams? Is it that we need to stop, shift the paradigm with how we bill for services? Like, what is it that we're not thinking creatively about, I guess, is for a service industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's how most people look at it, is let's get it 5%, 10%. And they have actually done studies to show that when you go for 50%, 100%, the companies more likely actually hit those higher numbers than the lower. Because all you got to do the 5, 10 is just to do it a little more or do it a little better.
Right.
Which is great. We want to be doing that anyway. But it really is more strategic. It's to say, if you were to 10 times your company, like if you all think about this right now, if you were to 10 times your business, what are the revenue streams, either that you're doing now or that you've thought of that you haven't done yet, or maybe you haven't thought it yet? We're going to help you figure that out at the event. But if you were to really focus in and take all of this energy and move it towards that, which one would be your multiplier? And what's your bottom 80% that we would need to let go of?
Okay.
Because there's so much that we are diluted that's pulling our energy and actually costing us. And so if we were really to put all our energy in this direction of the multiplier, it would grow so much faster. We're often just getting stuff done, but it's not what's really having the direct response to the bottom line. And so there just really is no limit on what you can create. It's just a matter of your willingness and your level of creativity. That's what it comes down to. So I'd have to understand your revenue streams more of what you have. I used to own a marketing company, so I
heard you say
get
that.
it. Yeah. And I would say, with marketing is great, but it can often be a one and done kind of thing, right? Because it's customized for every client. And so what you want to find ways to replicate. What are areas that you can replicate? AI is a big deal right now, obviously, and I don't see that going away anytime soon. So there could be some sort of packaging around that. But again, come to our event, because we're going to help you to figure all this stuff out. And we're going to take a good amount of time to help you build it out. It will be the thing that will change your year. So it's absolutely worth your time investing in that. And that's so I would be very, very excited for you to experience that. But I just want to say that, let's turn off the kind of mindset of having, that incremental growth. To me, every day is an opportunity to multiply the growth of your business. Now, you want to make sure that you are giving over value to your customers. You don't want to do it in a way that it's sacrificing your culture, because that's super important. But we will be going over all that. How do you scale, but also really build a strong, sustainable company for years to come as well? Does anybody else have any questions? Did that answer your question, Mimi? Great.
Yes, thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
helpful.
Anyone else have any questions? I hope this was helpful, and just encouraging you all to be that visionary CEO and step into that role, own it, because you all are superstars, and excited to hopefully get to know you and be able to, let's see, you feel the questions are super specific to your business and we'll have to come to the event to have them answered. Fantastic. You're going to be able to, like I said, have one-on-one time with my team as well. But you're going to have so much time specifically working on your business. And the way that we do this is quite unique. And so it really will feel like it is applied specifically to your business. So excited that you're coming. Do I need to be into market? Yep. In order to attend the event, do I need to be into marketing? No, you do not. We have a lot of people in construction, Ashley, so this will be great. And I love women-owned construction companies. And no, we're just going to help you to think of some ideas, obviously, to bring in more business. So that's really what that is about. And, you're going to have a lot that you're going to take away, but we want to have you take away specifically what you need for your business. So does that answer your question? Ashley, I'm looking to see if I see you. Yeah. Okay, good. Anyone else? Awesome. All right. Well, I think several of you are coming, which is really exciting. And if you have any other, you're welcome, Sherry. If you have any other questions, please let us know. I'm going to just put our email in there as well. Can you share that, Megan? team@pinnaclegn.com. If you have any other questions at all, we're happy to answer. And so let's go ahead and, you put that there. Awesome. So if you want to take a picture of that. Anyway, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so very much, Allison, for your time. This has been a really great, robust workshop, and I'm excited to hear how our WBEs are able to scale excuse me, after this and definitely after attending for those that are able to attend in California in February. So this has been wonderful. This was recorded, as I stated in the beginning of the call. And so once that recording is available, it will be sent out to all of you all via email. So that way you can always go back and listen to it again. If there's a piece that you were, fervently writing down notes and you missed something, you can definitely go back and reference it. As well as there'll be a brief survey. We're always looking at bettering ways to better ourselves in our programs that we offer. And so if you take a couple of minutes and fill out that survey as well, that would be great. This is actually our last workshop for 2023. So thank you all for joining and for ending us with a bang. I guess this is not really usually how that phrase goes, but that works for today. But we are excited because we've got some really great dynamic programming that we are working on kicking off in January. We are also going to be releasing a calendar for the quarter. So be watching your emails, the newsletter, our social media posts for that information as well. So that way you'll be able to plan in advance.
So this
Yep.
probably is a problem
Okay.
because of E-Hedge and 3A, because we were on the
Got
site.
somebody
somebody
They
is,
had to redo all their
you need
but I
equipment to
don't
be
know who
3A
it is. Oh, wait,
certified.
I think it's that one. There we go.
okay.
So yeah, that's all I have actually. So
Okay.
thank you all for joining. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a happy holidays and a safe new year. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.